Hello and welcome to another video from Sustenance and Cover, the only YouTube channel you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today we're going to talk about Egypt. Reason being, Egypt's been in the news more than once or twice, and usually when that happens somebody wants my opinion. Now normally people don't just say what's your opinion on something. They'll send me an email that says something like isn't it wonderful what's happening in Egypt? And I hope I ain't got no videos like that already, because when I post this, it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. No, it is not exciting. Doesn't mean a thing. People have been trying to overthrow, dictators for, thousands of years. And, sometimes they're successful, sometimes they ain't. But usually the guy they put in place is another dictator. And the reason that happens is when you see 1 million people out, walking the streets with protest signs. 1 million people didn't decide to start protesting. One guy decided to tell the others to go protesting. He's usually the most aggressive one in the bunch. He may or may not be some guy that has simply wanted political power for himself for generations, and now all of a sudden he sees his opportunity. And you can believe that when it's all over, if there is a guy like that, that's the one they're going to put in office. And in general, he's just going to be another one just like the one that he put out. Don't mean to bust anybody's bubble. However, there are other scenarios that could happen, because historically that's not all that ever happens. It could possibly be, just by chance, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 1,000, whatever it is, they're gonna pick a really nice guy with some real good leadership skills and put him in there, just a regular fella. However, something that's gonna happen that you need to know about is the day he's put in office, settled into his chair a little bit, the U.S. will send some CIA agent over there with a big old bag of money, maybe $10 million, put it on the man's desk, and it'll be cash. And they're going to say something to the effect of, "Here, we got you a gift. Welcome to the little community, and we sure hope your family stays safe." No real subliminal message, that's pretty much in your face. Now, if you don't believe me, look, I wrote this down. This is the only thing on this card. I keep looking at it. Look this up. John Perkins. See that? Confessions of an Economic Hitman. You ain't got to read the book. Just look him up on YouTube or Google him. Or you can go look at his last interview. A real good interview on Link Television, Democracy Now! And in that interview, he explained that he was picked up by the CIA years ago, offered a job that paid plenty of money, and that's what he did. He would go anytime a dictator was overthrown, then all these dictators are pretty much generally puppet dictators set up by the U.S. government. Well, anytime that happened, he would go in and do this. Now, two things would occur. Either the person would take the money and play ball, pretty much become a team player, or within a few days his airplane would mysteriously take a nosedive into the ocean or a mountain or whatever happened to be underneath it when it went down. Sometimes people would get weird diseases or be killed by bullets. And I remember as a child growing up being taught in democracy class how democracies are stable, but like South and Central American nations were not stable because they were not a democracy, and the proof was in the fact that they were always killing their kings or their leaders, their presidents, El Generalissimos. Wasn't until just recently that I found out the U.S. actually went over there and killed all them guys. All right, now there is one more alternate ending to this whole thing, and you're not going to like it, especially if you are a proud American with any kind of feelings about the evil Islamic monster that's taken over the world. But one successful overthrow of a U.S.-placed puppet dictator, in my memory and probably in yours, I've been looking at your profiles, a lot of y'all about 50 years old like me, it was Iran. Remember the Shah of Iran? One of the most evil dictators in the history of the world. Put there by the U.S. government, maintained by the U.S. government, at a cost of millions upon millions of dollars. So when the people decided they wanted democracy and started dancing in the streets, the U.S. started doing the same things they're doing now, going down and saying, yeah, well, we're going to make a peaceful solution to this. We're going to go ahead and get rid of Shaw and his number 2 man, and we're going to go ahead and move to number 3, number 4, number 5 up. Well, the Ayatollah Khomeini ain't much usually for preachers, but he's a preacher of another religion that I ain't in. But anyways, he says he ain't putting up with that. And if you remember the story, he had everybody in the U.S. Embassy taken hostage. And I remember as a child being just really upset by that. Now I look back at it and I think, well, what else could he do? You know, is either that or get took over by the U.S. again and go into the same hole they was already in. So I really got a lot of respect for the Ayatollah. And the people, when you look at the video, you see everybody out there, you know, dancing in the street and hugging each other and shooting guns off in the air and waving flags. That really was a proud moment for them. That's not the way we saw it over here in the U.S. media. Over here it was all them insane people doing evil things. Well, you know, if it was evil, that's what they wanted. It ain't none of our business. But in any case, something else you need to look up. Here, this is a country that, what is that now? That's 40 years ago? Or 30 years ago? And they still free to this day. Please, please, rather than putting hate all over my page, just go to look up. I don't even know the guy's name. The president over there, or king, or whatever he is like Ahmed Ahmadinejad or something like that. Look him up and listen to some of his videos where they actually got an Iranian interpreter interpreting his videos into English. I mean, after all, you know, you done seen the 4 or 5 second soundbite over and over and over again of how he said they don't have homosexuals in Iran. You owe it to yourself to go listen to some of the rest of that talk, or listen to some other talks. You talk about a 9/11 truther. The things that this man knows about 9/11 will make your hair stand up. This dude is not just like some kind of crazed psychopathic religious nut. He's a nuclear engineer, scientist. He's smart. Now, is he a strong man? And does he oppress some people? Give me a break. If they put a weak guy in there, you think they'd be able to keep the U.S. out? Them people got oil underneath their ground. Well, in any case, that's how I feel about Egypt. Don't know how it's going to go, but there's only a few basic scenarios that play out over and over again in history. And the chances of them actually getting their own president and getting away with it, itty tiny. Ain't hardly no chance at all. But if they do, you can believe that the networks, television in the United States will villainize that person with all the force that they can bring to bear. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.